Well, hello everybody. I'm Jason. I'm one of the pastors here at North Park Church, and I am very grateful to be bringing your life group lesson for you this week. So just settle in, pray for God to take away any sort of distractions, any sort of trouble you might have in your heart, so you can really let this lesson soak in. It's a good one, and sit back, enjoy. So the lesson that we've got this week is really about judging others, other people judging us, and how we kind of react to that. And why is it that we're so quick to judge other people? And I know, I say something like that, and there are probably a whole bunch of you out there right now that are thinking, well, I don't judge anybody. I'm just really great about that. I'm just merciful and forgiving to everybody that I come across. But if we really, really search our hearts, we know, every one of us, myself included, that we really expect a lot more forgiveness and mercy from other people than we are willing to give them. And if we really want to dig deep inside of ourselves, there's a good chance that we wake up a lot of mornings and instantly we are judging the day. We're making snap judgments, snap decisions about who we're going to have to interact with, what sort of problems we're going to encounter, and maybe not necessarily even going to God before making these decisions. So that's really what our lesson's about today. And you hear it said around here all the time that all growth happens through right relationships. And it's the truth. You can read everything and you can listen to the best teachers out there. And until you're actually in a spot to apply these sorts of things within right godly relationships, there's no sort of growth that can ever really happen. The only way that we ever become healthy spiritually is to do the best that we can to see ourselves in sober judgment through God's eyes. That's when we truly, truly, truly meet with God and grow. So we've got a story here. This is from Matthew chapter 7. It's verses 1 through 6, so it's a short one. No need to worry about the retelling. It'll be an easy one, so sit back. I'm going to go through the story here, and then you guys will pick somebody out of your group to rebuild it, and you guys can help with that. Don't judge others, or you will be judged. You will be judged in the same way that you judge others, and the amount you give to others will be given to you. Why do you notice the little piece of dust in your friend's eye, but you don't notice the big piece of wood in your own eye? How can you say to your friend, let me take that little piece of dust out of your eye? Look at yourself. You still have that big piece of wood in your own eye. You hypocrite. First, take the wood out of your own eye. Then you will see clearly to take the dust out of your friend's eye. Don't give holy things to dogs, and don't throw your pearls before pigs. Pigs will only trample on them, and dogs will turn to attack you. So go ahead, take a break. Somebody in your group, rebuild that story, and you guys help them out with it. Do that now. Okay, good. Hopefully you guys had fun with that. So that leads us into our first question here. Now, this question is really in three parts, and I want to encourage you before I ask this question not to get hung up on the wrong side of the question, the wrong part of the question. You'll understand what I'm talking about here when I read the question. So question 1, name a moment in your life when you felt judged. Name a time when you judged someone else. And describe how you felt being judged and how you felt when you were doing the judging. So like I said, most of us have a bent towards really quickly coming up with all kinds of judgments that we felt like other people have put on us. That's an easy thing to do. But if we really want to see ourselves through God's eyes, we want to make sure that we keep the right aspect of, especially this question, in a top priority. So, name a moment when you were judged, but don't get too hung up on that. Dig deep and think of a time when you judged somebody else, and then talk about how that felt. Do that now. Okay, great. Moving on to question 2, kind of narrowing our focus a little bit here. Why does Jesus use the description of a log for us personally, and yet our friends are portrayed as having specks? What is it that Jesus is trying to show us there? So you guys relax, pray for the Holy Spirit to really, really point out what it is that He wants you to learn, and then talk about that in your group. Do that now. Okay, cool. So moving on to question 3. In verse 5, Jesus uses the word hypocrite. Now, looking at this set of verses, what does Jesus define as being a hypocrite? In other words, what does a hypocrite look like to Jesus? In this set of verses, we know that he uses that word many other places in the Bible, but we're just talking about this set of verses right here. In this story, what does Jesus describe as being a hypocrite? Go ahead and talk about that now. Okay, great. Now, really narrowing our focus even more here for question 4. Be sure you stay in prayer about this. Ask the Holy Spirit for help. What is your biggest struggle with people? Now, not what they should be, not what they should be doing. Excuse me. Not how does this truth apply to them, but what is your biggest personal struggle when it comes to dealing with other people? Worries. Is there a twinge of pain or fear that you feel around people regularly? If so, and dig deep, be honest about this, because this is your log. And, that can make it very difficult to even receive truth from people. It's funny that we can feel like we're being judged when somebody is truly being condemning, being critical of us, being condescending. Of course that feels like judgment. But many times we can have somebody who is very, very, very prayerfully trying to figure out a way to give us some truth that we might not necessarily want to hear. And that can feel like judgment too. And if the log in our own eye, if that low-lying fear or anxiety maybe that we wake up with every day, that we worry about all the time in dealing with all people, if that's there, then it's really, really difficult to even receive truth from people. So what is your biggest struggle with people personally? We need Jesus' perspective more than we need the perspective of our fears and our insecurities of that log. So pray about that and talk about it now. Okay, great. Hopefully you're getting some good clarity on this now. So to bring it all home, question 5 here. You read verse 6 there, and if you're anything like me, you're thinking, well, that's kind of crazy. What does that really even mean? Well, let's talk about that for a second. Ultimately, the pearl that we're talking about there in that verse is the gospel. And it's neat, it's funny how, Jesus says that without him, we can do nothing. Even giving the gospel to somebody, which sounds like a good thing. I mean, we could always God stamp that one if we want to. But it says right there that we don't necessarily want to give the gospel to everybody all the time. If somebody doesn't want it, it's going to do more harm than good. And that concept applies to us sharing in our life groups too. So we've got this log, hopefully, that Jesus is making us aware of, and we need to confess it, get it out, make ourselves vulnerable. And maybe you're the sort of person who can't necessarily even be trusted with that sort of information. Dig deep, really pray about this. I mean, are you the sort of person that when somebody's really coming to you with that sort of vulnerability, that sort of transparency, that you realize the importance of what they're doing? Or are you the sort of person who might take advantage of that? Might put somebody in a situation to actually be wounded as a result of you having that sort of information. Or maybe on the flip side of things, you hear something like that, like, okay, this is a precious thing, this is a pearl, can't just give it to everybody. Maybe you're the sort of person who just wants to take that as an overall justification to never share anything. Either way, what we really want to get a hold of here with this life group is staying connected enough with God to be able to remove that log in whatever way he tells us to do. So go ahead and talk about that now in your life group, but also as you leave your life group tonight, man, be praying about that. Be praying about how you can not be the person, or you can better be somebody that is trusted with this valuable information, and how you can better be somebody that knows when to share these sorts of things and do that vulnerably. Well, I hope you've had a good time with your life group today. Really love you guys. So be good to each other. Love each other the way Jesus would love you too, and enjoy your week.